One of the main reasons people come to see me is they're looking at having a foreclosure on their house, and they're trying to figure out how can they go about stopping that foreclosure, and bankruptcy can be a great way to do that. But they also ask me while I'm going through a consultation, well, what's the timeline for somebody foreclosing on my house? I'm getting all these letters in the mail from these different law firms telling me that they're going to foreclose. What does that timeline look like? Now, first, let's understand and realize every timeline can be different. This is just meant to be general information. It's not meant to say that this is going to be your specific timeline, but this is a kind of average general timeline here in North Carolina of the way a lot of foreclosures will work. So first, you're going to get behind on your house. People all the time say, if I'm a month behind on my house, are they going to foreclose? The answer to that is generally no. Now, are there exceptions? Of course there are. If you've got tons and tons of equity in your house and the mortgage company thinks they can foreclose and get all their money back, they may do it sooner rather than later. If you're way upside down, meaning your house is worth $150 and you owe $190 on it, it's $40,000 upside down, then you might be able to get even further past due on your house before they ever look to come and foreclose on it. We've had stories of folks being 2 years past due on their house before a foreclosure ever took place. But we've also heard the horror stories of somebody being 30 to 60 days past due, and they've also started a foreclosure process as well. For most folks, you don't have to worry about a foreclosure starting until you're at least 3 months or 90 days past due. Now, it's usually, for a lot of people, it's even longer than that. But today we're going to say roughly 90 days past due. That's when what will happen at that point in time is you're going to get notified of a foreclosure hearing date. That foreclosure hearing date is going to take place in front of a magistrate in the county where you're located. That magistrate, the question is, do you need to attend that hearing? It depends. You don't have to attend it. You're not required to attend that foreclosure hearing. And if you go in there and say, I got nothing to say, I'm behind and there's nothing else I got to say about it, they're going to say, okay, attorney's office, you can move forward with the foreclosure. But you can sometimes go in at those hearings and explain you're trying to work on a modification of your mortgage, or you're trying to work something out with the mortgage company, or there's some misunderstanding about the whole thing. And these magistrates at times will be willing to offer an extension of time. They'll continue out the foreclosure hearing for 30 to 60 days at times. So you've got the foreclosure hearing date. You're going to get a letter in the mail letting you know when that is. It's going to be about a month after you get the letter in the mail. So a month after you get that letter, you're going to have the foreclosure hearing date. After that foreclosure hearing date, let's say that you get a continuance for one reason or another, and it's 30 days from later. So you've got the hearing date, they continued out 30 days. You go to that second hearing date, they're not going to give you another continuance. At that second hearing, they're going to then go forward and put forward the foreclosure date and tell the mortgage company and the attorney representing the mortgage company that they can move forward. The foreclosure date is usually going to be about 3 weeks after the last hearing date. Now, you may say, well, I don't know when my foreclosure date is. I've had a hearing and they said they could go forward with it, but nobody's told me when the foreclosure date is. You can call the law firm that's representing your mortgage company and find out that date. And you should also be able to call the mortgage company and figure out that date. Once you've got that date, you know that that's the foreclosure date. There are times where those will get continued out, but you should not at all depend upon that. You're going to have that foreclosure hearing date. If you were to file a bankruptcy, if you're watching this video, you may be considering filing a bankruptcy to stop the foreclosure. Ideally, we want to file the foreclosure or file the bankruptcy before that foreclosure takes place. But in North Carolina, if your residence is in North Carolina, there's what's called an upset bid period. So on a piece of real estate in North Carolina, there's an upset bid period of 10 days. So let's say you're finding this video and your foreclosure took place yesterday and you've got a property in North Carolina. Then you can still potentially file a bankruptcy and save that property as long as the bankruptcy is filed within that 10 days. Now, if you're within this 10-day period, you're playing with fire right now, right? Lots of bad things can happen and can go wrong during that time. You need to make sure that you contact somebody immediately if you find yourself within that time. The goal is that you never even get within that 10 days. But again, as a quick recap, you're going to get a notice from the foreclosure law firm saying, hey, we're going to foreclose. And you're going to get a lot of those where they're telling you all the terrible things they're going to do. Eventually, though, they'll set a hearing date. That hearing date's going to be about 30 days after you get the hearing notice. After that hearing date, you might get it continued, but the foreclosure is going to be about 3 weeks after the hearing date. And then once that foreclosure takes place, and then 10 days after that, That ship has sailed. There's nothing you can do to get your house back at that point in time. There are times where the upset bid period can be continued out several times. But for our purposes, you need to believe that and know that at the end of the 10 days, your house is almost certainly gone. So don't get there. If you have questions, contact us. If you're looking to file a bankruptcy to save your house, certainly we'd be more than happy to chat with you about that and talk to you about the different options that exist to try to save your home.